My name is Marc Blatstein, the physician founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. I'm a physician, prison consultant. My phone 240-888-7778. Today, I'm going to review or talk about if I can center this, the FBI and Department of Justice enforcement targets. Here I'm discussing bribery, insider trading, and durable medical equipment 2026 and what to expect. And I'll touch on this several times through the video, but the Department of Justice is going to surpass their successes they had in their year 2025. And this is from the United States Department of Justice Criminal Division Fraud. So here we go. Topics. I'm going to discuss foreign bribery. Zeglin, number 17 here, I'll show you a little bit later, is the page that we'll find it on it in the 2025 Department of Justice review of that year. Zeglin was sentenced to 8 years for bribery. Marchena was sentenced to 7. Molinina sentenced to 13 months. Insider trading, there's a David George, 13 months. Failing to report information related to defective humidifiers. Simon Chu, Charlie Lowe, they were sentenced to 38 and 40 months in prison. DME is durable medical equipment, and this is a version that comes under that umbrella. Department of Justice, though, as I said, they're going to be expanding on their wins from 2025. And so fraud enforcement isn't slowing down. It's going to gear up for more, and it's going to create heartache for a certain segment of the population. And so we are going to start here. First thing up the bat, as I say, artificial intelligence is going to be the Department of Justice's first choice, their tool of first choice. It works 24/7, 365, constantly monitoring without supervision and data mining, but it goes beyond that. Their multi-agent AI is not a concept for the future. It's an operational shift that businesses now must prepare for. So it doesn't matter if you're the CEO, CFO of a large hospital system, if you're in life sciences or you're in the durable medical equipment field, CEO, CFO, you could be a provider, you could be the CEO of a hospital system. It doesn't matter. Rather than deploying a single artificial intelligence system, what they're doing is moving towards coordinated networks of specialized agents, each being AI agents, that can independently act, collaborate, and adapt in real time. That's pretty crazy stuff. And it's hard because everything that we're doing now, if you're in medicine, it's electronic medical records. If you're in business, it's contracts, but everything is digitized. So whether you choose to go to trial, and all these links here, if you go to my website and see this blog, these all go to YouTube's and tell you the different, explain why I highlighted them. But whether you go to trial or plea, this is a strategic decision between you and your legal team. And so I'm not here to say it's, you do one, not the other. But what I am going to say is that if you're going to trial, my only recommendation is don't aggravate the judge or the court. Because if you don't win, then you may have to go back to the judge in that court for leniency. What you can do, it's preparation for your pre-sentence interview. Very big deal. As soon as you hear that the FBI, Department of Justice, whoever it is asking questions, no matter how benign, or you get a knock at your front door, or you get a target letter, you're going to know something's up. And by this time, the Department of Justice, their case is mostly complete. And so first thing you're going to need to do is put together a legal team. And don't be shy about asking questions, because you need to have a legal team where they have experiences in cases like you're facing in federal court. It's a big deal. Second, if incarceration or prison time is unavoidable, this pre-sentence interview can save your life, literally. The pre-sentence interview is conducted upfront by the probation officer. And when that interview is completed, the judge has that the probation has the judge's ear, because they rely on that probation officer for the sentence recommendation and placement recommendation, if there is any. And so my process in preparing everyone is that there's a lot that goes into pre-sentence interview preparation. The most initially is that you are indicted based on you have an indictment where you're indicted. If you do nothing, the judge is going to be left with the four corners of that indictment and then your pre-sentence report to sentence you. So the only way you can change that is to humanize yourself to the court. And that's done with a compelling autobiographical narrative, your backstory of who you are. And you want to get this message on the record. And how do you do that? Is by getting it embedded into the pre-sentence report. Then you can actually make a placement request to the judge, but you could also do it with the probation officer. Minimums, a minimum FPC, it's a federal prison camp, freestanding, versus a minimum satellite camp. Satellite camps are attached to higher security facilities, and there are differences. I'm not going to say that one is better than the other or not. But a satellite camp, on the one hand, could probably provide you with more First Step Act programs. No guarantees here. But on the other side of the equation is that there's heightened security there because you're attached naturally to a higher security facility. Whereas a minimum FPC or freestanding prison camp doesn't have that added tension in the air, the security. Unfortunately, I was able to experience both. So there's a difference. I don't know if I would have gone into the minimum satellite camp first, if I would have been aware that there actually was a difference, but there are differences. This federal judge, Mark Bennett, was interviewed, and in their interview, he's concluded that having your personal narrative embedded into your pre-sentence report is a great idea. And so, when starting to prepare for sentencing, you need to acknowledge the impact of your indictment. What do I mean here? Judges know the following thing. Judges know that the Department of Justice wants a conviction. They know that the prosecutor wants prison time. They may want to go on to higher office. They may want to become a white collar defense lawyer, but they want to get that prison time. They know that your attorney is paid to say nice things to keep you out of prison. The only person they know nothing about is you. And your chance to provide a compelling autobiographical narrative, your story, your backstory, before your pre-sentence interview humanizes you to the probation officer, and that will be transferred over to the judge. Because again, the judge relies on that probation officer for the length of your sentence recommendation and placement. Now, all of these internal links I have here go to YouTubes that explain you the autobiographical narrative or backstory and what to do. Here's what the Department of Justice is doing. Foreign bribery. Carl Zegan, the CEO of Atlanco LLC, was convicted by a federal jury in Miami for bribing Honduran officials in connection with $10 million in contracts. Evidence showed that he facilitated hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes to officials, including these two guys here, Francisco Cozena and Juan Ramon Manella, and they were from the Honduran government. But I'm going to go over here to page 17 and show you that article again. So we're going to go to page 17. I'll open it up, and here it is. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. And the jury convicted Segalin of one count of conspiracy to violate this act, one count of violating similar act, and one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering in 2025. He was sentenced to 8 years and ordered to forfeit $2 million. The other co-defendants all pled guilty. Marcina was sentenced to 7 years, Manila 13 months. And so this is all to be taken very, very seriously. And this is the playbook by which the Department of Justice is looking to expand their reach in 2026. Insider trading. The federal court sentenced Stephen George to 13 months in prison for engaging in $1.6 million in insider trading scheme. George was also ordered to pay restitution of $200,000 and forfeit $1.7 million. We'll go to page 51. And here we go. In April of 2005, the federal court sentenced Stephen George to 13 months in prison for engaging in the $1.6 million insider trading scheme. He was ordered to pay restitution for over $200,000 and forfeit $1.7 million. And so this booklet or publication that they put out for the fiscal year 2025, the Department of Justice is using it to expand their reach in 2026, failing to report information related to defective humidifiers. So we're going to go here back to page 43, and I'll put it up. It says here we're both sentenced in January. Let's see here. March 2025, two owners of a clinical research facility pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud in connection with their work in two clinical trials testing drugs to decide and treat asthma. According to court documents, these gentlemen owned a A&R research group, a medical research facility that conducted clinical trials of prospective new drug treatments on behalf of the drug sponsor seeking approval from the FDA. Pursuant to their plea agreements, the defendants admitted to conspiring to unlawfully enrich themselves by making fraudulent representations to the asthma drug trial sponsor regarding subject eligibility and by falsifying and fabricating material documents and data. As a result of the conspiracy, A&R provided fraudulent clinical research data to the drug sponsor and to the FDA investigator. Vaquero and Acuna were both sentenced this past January in 2026 to pay $312,000 in change in restitution and another $312, $458 for forfeiture. Previously, the clinical investigator for these clinical trials also pleaded guilty and wound up being sentenced to 36 months in prison. We're going to go back. So this is the article that they published, that I've been jumping to and from. Here, the Department of Justice is going to be expanding on their wins, which I touched on. Fraudulent enforcement isn't going to slow down. They're just getting started. You want to expect aggressive and possibly expanded enforcement targeting fraud tied to federal programs. That's big. Add to that, don't forget, they have artificial intelligence systems in place where they're looking over the web all day, every day. However, the new fraud division is ultimately structured. The message is clear. Misuse federal funds remains a top priority. The government will continue to rely on powerful tools like the False Claims Act to pursue companies, nonprofits, etc. Politics is now going to shape priorities for the first time in history. Early signals suggest the division could operate out of the White House with focus areas that may shift based on policy agendas. That adds uncertainty as to how cases are selected and pursued. It's a big deal. You need to kind of have a come to Jesus moment with yourself to see if you fit in, if you're going against policies that this Trump administration is interested in. Compliance is your first line of defense. Organization receiving federal funds, especially in highly regulated sectors, should reassess internal controls, billing practices, eligibility certifications, and representations they make to the government. So this is from clinic.com, and I have it up here, clinic.com, and they have a health risk management program that they did in August of 2025. And you can use this to go, find it on my website. But the evolution of the False Claims Act, misuse of opioids, AI becoming a new threat, which is already old, telehealth requiring scrutiny regarding standard of care, legal, which I'll cover in another video, legal review and commentary, suit dismissed if they're mixing board certifications, and hospital wins after expert nurse excluded in neonatal injury suit. So the hospital is basically covering themselves. Back to the video. Timing matters. As the Department of Justice evolves, early engagement with counsel can help access exposure, manage parallel civil and criminal risk, and respond strategically before issues escalate. The bottom line, if you receive federal dollars, and no matter your endeavor, whether it's life sciences, whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's hospitals, patient care, direct, indirect, expect scrutiny and prepare accordingly. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my video regarding bribery, insider trading, and durable medical equipment 2026. I hope you have a good day. Any questions, please feel free to reach out and give me a call. Have a great day and stay safe.